On the next day, Moses said to the people, "You yourselves have committed a great sin. Now I am going up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin." Then Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Alas, this people has committed a great sin, and they have made a god of gold for themselves. But now, if you will, forgive their sin, and if not, please blot me out from the book which you have written." The Lord said to Moses, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book. But go now, lead the people where I told you. Behold, my angel shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I will punish them for their sin." Then the Lord smote the people because of what they did with the calf which Aaron had made. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Depart, go up from here, you and the people whom you brought up from the land of Egypt, to the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, to your descendants I will give it. I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Go up to the land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in your midst, because you are an obstinate people, and I might destroy you on the way." When the people heard this sad word, they went into mourning, and none of them put on his ornaments. For the Lord had said to Moses, "Say to the sons of Israel, you are an obstinate people. Should I go up in your midst for one moment, I would destroy you. Now therefore put off your ornaments from you, that I may know what I shall do with you." So the sons of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments from Mount Horeb onward. Then Moses said to the Lord, "See, you say to me, bring up this people, but you yourself have not let me know whom you will send with me. Moreover, you have said, I have known you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now therefore I pray you, if I have found favor in your sight, let me know your ways, that I may know you, so that I may find favor in your sight. Consider too that this nation is your people." And he said, "My presence shall go with you, and I will give you rest." Then he said to him, "If your presence does not go with us, do not lead us up from here. For how then can it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people? Is it not by your going with us, so that we, I and your people, may be distinguished from all the other people who are upon the face of the earth?" Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will also do this thing of which you have spoken, for you have found favor in my sight, and I have known you by name." This is the last session that we're going to do in this series on intercession. And it might be a little longer than the previous sessions, so you can break it up on your own if you so desire. But I'm going to press through this next bit of material so that it all comes together in one session. Now, as a bit of review, we remember that in the absence of the godly leadership of Moses, the people had Aaron make a golden calf that they worshipped and credited with God's deliverance. God told Moses that he was going to make clean riddance of the people. Moses then interceded, and in response, we read in Exodus 32:14 an incredible statement which says, "The Lord changed his mind about the harm which he said he would do to his people." Moses then returned to the camp and carried out a judgment intended to make the people aware of their wickedness and of the inappropriateness of their behavior. And so we're going to pick up now with that background and move forward by looking first at what's in verses 30 through 32. Moses returns to the Lord on the mountain. And remember that when Moses initially asked God why his anger was kindled against the people, Moses had not seen or experienced their sin. But now, having seen what God had observed, he confesses regarding the fact that the behavior of the people was a great sin, and then ask God to forgive them, going as far as to offer himself as an atonement. God did not take the atonement option, but says, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book." This is an interesting statement on a number of levels, but I would simply like to remind us of a statement found in Ezekiel 18:4, one verse in a larger context, but the verse says, "Behold, all souls are mine, the soul of the Father as well as the soul of the Son is mine. The soul who sins will die." Sin is not passed on from father to son. Sin is not inherited. And when people are judged for sin, they are judged for their sin. God instructs Moses then to continue with the journey, saying, "My angel shall go before you." He then goes on to tell Moses, "Depart, go up from here, you and the people you brought up from the land of Egypt," continuing to say, "I will send an angel before you. For I will not go in your midst because you are an obstinate people, and I might destroy you on the way." Then in verses 4 through 6 of Exodus 33, we get further insight. We see that when the people heard this news that God would not go with them, they became upset and they went into mourning. And God told them to put off your ornaments, or in essence, humble yourself. And then he makes this amazing statement that again is counter to the static theology so many people have adopted, and is consistent with a dynamic view, as he gives his reason for calling them to humble themselves by saying, "That I may know what I shall do with you." Here we see God evaluating the situation and working toward making a decision about his next move. Then in verses 7 through 11, there is information about the tent of meeting, but we are going to jump to verses 12 and 13. Moses expresses concern about who God will send with him as he leads the people on in this journey. Moses seeks God's favor for both himself and the people, stating, "This nation is your people," once again reminding God that this is his project. In verse 14, God responds by telling Moses that his presence will go with him, Moses. But Moses doesn't settle for this, And in verse 15, he boldly states, if your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. In verse 16, he goes on to indicate that the presence of the Lord in their midst is the only thing that makes them a unique, special people, which is also a good thing for us to understand, even in our contemporary setting. Then, another amazing bit of revelation about intercession and the dynamic relationship God has with his moral creation. When we read, the Lord said to Moses, I will also do this thing of which you have spoken, for you have found favor in my sight, and I have known you by name. This indicates that Moses and his intercession prevailed so that instead of sending an angel, and instead of God's presence only going with Moses, God resolved that he would once again go in the midst of the people. This is then followed by God causing his glory to pass by Moses as Moses buries his face in the cleft of the rock. I hope that these sessions on intercession help us add to the building of a biblical theology and a biblical worldview which is much needed for the sake of God's mission, for us as his people working together with God in this mission, for the advancement of his kingdom on earth, and much needed correction within the body of Christ.